Good afternoon. We will start the press conference of the CONMEBOL Copa America USA 2024. We are together with Colombia's coach, Nestor Lorenzo. Before we start the conference, please bear in mind that it's not allowed to do live transmissions or recordings from cell phone or any devices. You can download the press conference with the QR code that you can find in the room. Please do not stand up during the conference. Remember that in case that it is necessary, you have simultaneous translation in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. If you want to ask a question, please raise your hand, wait for the microphone, state your name and media outlet that you represent. We will start with the first question. Good afternoon, good evening, good night for Colombians. Congratulations in the first place for moving on to the next phase. You got one of the goals of the national team checked. You can stand in an equal standing to any other team, and you can even be superior to this kind of adversaries. Well, thank you, good afternoon. We are satisfied with the performance of the team. We did one of our best matches in this era. We started one goal down with a free kick, but I'm really proud of the team and how they played and represented the country. Good afternoon, Jaime Dinas from Telepacifico 101. Beyond the referees, I want to note this: 6 matches, 6 goals in 3 matches, an average of 2 goals per match. Out of those 6 goals, 5 players scored. The maximum striker is a defender from Colombia. There's something that I share with you. You have not lost any matches. The team never falls apart facing adversity. We are beyond the results. Colombia is at its peak, talking about football, and you have had matches, friendly matches with champions, and you're hand in hand to play with the elites of the world football. You played a match, I forgot the question already. It was a match that we wanted to play, really. We all did. We are at a good time as a team. We know that. We know we're growing, and we wanted to measure up, and we took a step further. I think it's not easy. There's some way or some leeway to maneuver and to improve. Sometimes it's harder with adversaries that are demanding. This national team of Brazil has huge players. They play very well. You cannot let your guard down for even 1 second. We did a great match, That is, we couldn't win, but no matter the result, my feeling would have been the same. I am fully satisfied because it was another step forward, and it was a hard one, facing an adversary as Brazil. I'm happy, and now let's think about Panama. Next step. Thank you, Coach. How are you? Good afternoon. Sebastián Vargas from Caracol Radio. How did you reserve the yellow card to Lerma, knowing that it was not due to an action in the playfield, but due to another type of contact with the adversaries? And what about Panama? Did you talk with the team about that? Did you study Panama? Well, I know about Panama from what we saw in the first 3 matches they have played. Uruguay, we know them more because we played against them recently. But the yellow card to Lerma could have been avoided. This is one of the things that we talked a lot about with the team. That's why it's a bitter thing for today, something that could have been prevented, could have been avoided. We talked a lot about that. I can guarantee that these are instinctive reactions that we have to control in a better way. Coach, congratulations. Paul Hernandez from El Gol Caracol. I wanted to ask you how that physical preparation was, because what we saw today and the high temperatures that we experienced here today, well, we saw a team that was always putting pressure on the final part of the pitch. You always had Brazil in their field. How do you have the players in that conditions, and how do you go about the recovery? Well, the players are in good conditions because they are physically endowed. They are fit for the job that we ask them to do. But of course, they feel the tiredness. They are not robots. But what they do have is they are convinced of going after every ball, and there's their colleague who's right behind them, and they can share the effort. So those who can run more than others, they all do an effort in the recovery when the team does not have the ball. Coach, congratulations. I'm sorry, my voice is gone. For ESPN Colombia, congratulations, 26 and counting. Before the match, we talked about favorites, and you said that against Brazil, no one could be a favorite and nobody could be considered a favorite, considering the history. Do you consider that Colombia surpassed that hurdle that we had historically facing the Brazil in the way that you face it today? And how was the work for this preparation? How did you recover when you started losing the match? Well, history is a long history. It's 5 world championships, and it was a tie. We didn't win for 0. We do not have to think too high of ourselves. We played a better match, but at times we were not so much in control. But we have to keep our feet in the ground, step by step. Panama is also going to be a hard adversary. We have to stay cool, because even if we win, as Argentina won World Cup, America's Cup, maybe then we can think that we are at the level of a favorite such as Argentina, Brazil, or Uruguay. History is a very long one, and we're writing a very tiny page. But fortunately, we're writing it. Our mindset is going to play as equals, taking chances and risks, and the team is courageous, and we value that from the team. Fourth row, please. Thank you. Greetings, everyone. Coach, congratulations. Colmundo Deportes, El Show de la Bola. What is the best way to control the Brazilian team? Was that precisely by holding the ball and administering the holding of the ball as you did in the beginning? Can you talk about the changes of Mujica and the changes you did in the match? David, well, I did not want to take the risk of playing with one player less. It's impossible to play against Brazil with one player less. That's why I sacrificed him. Lerma is a player who plays in the midfield. He can control the yellow cards better, but he was on the edge with Rafinha, who is a very skillful and fast player, and well, I was afraid that we could have a red card which could complicate the match, which was balanced. And what was the other question? Well, holding the ball, I think they also play very well, and suddenly the speed of their attackers makes it so that Vinicius and Rodrigo, Rafinha are enabled to play with a more direct gameplay as the one that Brazil always showed. But it's important to put pressure on them because they are very high-level players. Many of them are Champions League champions. So when we can hold the ball, let's try to hold the ball, take a break, take a pause. And when we cannot, well, we have to search for another option. There's a question in the back, please.
Profesor, buenas noches.
Coach, good evening, good night. Congratulations on the great match. I asked before the match, I said that your era's best match was the one in the qualifiers against Brazil. Do you think that this match was better than that one, even if you didn't win? I like the team a lot today, but I want to know beyond the result conditions opinions, but I wanted to know that. And if you allow me, could you explain why you changed the left wingman? I do not change it every match. I'm sorry. I don't. Not every match. I mean, you changed it precisely for this match. Why? Why today of all days? Well, because I thought that Machado has another speed for the attack. Mojica can play more in association from the back to the front with more connections with other players. Machado is doing very well in the trainings. He's looking great. So I think it was good to put him on the match, but I was afraid of the red card, so that's why I changed it. And regarding the other question, well, this is a different Brazil to the one that we saw before, and Colombia is a different one. We grew a little bit older. We are teenagers now, let's say. Second row, another question. Good evening, everyone. Mr. Lorenzo, Coach Lorenzo, thank you to the organization for this invitation to the press conference. Well, Coach, when you win, praise is abundant, and I heard, of course, a lot of compliments, but I know that you are very self-critical. So without going into what the Brazilians call putting water in the beer for the celebration, what is the aspect that you think is pending, always looking for excellence and perfection in the functioning of the team? James is always criticized or praised because he is very sacrificed in recovering the ball, but when he committed a fault today derived in Rafinha's goal, but also he, with his talent, his goals, his passes, he camouflages that. How did you assimilate that? How did the coaching staff assimilate that? James, well, who is demanding him to run more? I demand him what is expected for his role in the team. You never heard me say, I am demanding James to run more or to score more. James gives all he can, and he's doing that very well. Regarding the other question, what was it? Oh, self-criticism. Well, yes, improving. You'll always have room to improve, things to improve. Some of the starts of new plays and some short passes, we saw that they were very dangerous to lose the ball at the 3/4 of the pitch because of their players, and also we could have ended the game playing in their field, but we played backwards with short passes and we let them put pressure on us. That's something. And yes, Lerma's yellow card. Yeah. Good evening, Mr. Lorenzo. My name is Fernando Barquibabas. I work for Publimetro. I have a question for looking forward and one looking backwards. How can you manage the next match when Colombia is a favorite against a rival or an adversary that is not so traditional as Panama, which is also a neighboring country? And another thing about the referees, the penalty that could have taken place. Well, if the referee said it was penalty, it could have changed the result. And if they scored, I didn't see that play, and I didn't see the offside where they told me it was a goal, when I think it was a goal. And I saw a lot of faults that, well, Machado's one, he was late, for the ball and he got a yellow card, and then they kicked players and in worse ways, and he did not take any cards. I'd rather not talk about the arbitrage or the referees. That any of those plays could have changed the results. But, well, I think that Brazil also moved to the next round. It looked at the end that both teams were achieving their goals besides fighting for the first position in the group. Panama is a team that for a while, since Christensen has taken over, he has set his European Spanish style, let's say, and it's a very physical team with players that are very powerful, very well physically trained. It's not an easy adversary at all. I remember the first match against Uruguay. Uruguay had some trouble scoring. We will respect them because we have to watch out. We have to play very well to defeat them.
Hola, profe. Buenas noches. Oscar Riera para COR.
Hi, Coach. Oscar Riera for COR and Rivera Sports. Congratulations for the first position in the group. And I wanted to ask two things. One is, how are you handling the people? That we saw that there's a lot of people that approach you to the hotel. You feel sometimes that you're a favorite, but this is a message for the Colombians that there were 70,000 in the stadium, but I think there were another 50,000 outside the stadium. And second, what did you think when Brazil scored? How did you rethink the match? Because Colombia did not put its guard down. You continued fighting. Well, I think that a team that is doing well, that has confidence in its strength, it should not quiver against an adverse situation. It happened in the qualifiers. In a minute and a half, they scored a goal against it, and then we turned the match around. But any play of these players with their offensive power, they can score a second goal, and then it's harder to turn it around. But the players did a great match. They handled that situation very well, being one goal down. And we took chances, I think, but we did not suffer too much. Last question here, please. Congratulations, Coach. Fernando Castaño, Huila Noticias, Alfa Visión y Acor Colombia. James Rodriguez in Sao Paulo did not have a lot of participation, but for the America Cup, you took him into account. He left the pitch with almost an ovation from the supporters in the stadium. How can you look after him and recover him in the time that you have left before the match against Panama? And how will you consider the next match, considering the situations that we face with Carrascal and Borré? James will recover, as all will. They all were very tired. After a huge effort, they gave their all to play this match. So we have one less day than Panama for the recovery. We are going to work in that aspect intensely. And sorry, I forgot the second question. How they aimed? Well, balls will go in the right direction and we will score. Sometimes you don't get much to their box, but you score a lot, and sometimes you get to the box a lot, but you don't score much. Thank you very much, Nestor. Thank you. We will continue.